Hey, so you're probably wondering why this girl is aura farming really close to a ledge. Yeah, I am too. That's why I'm here trying to, stop it. But honestly, I don't know who this girl is at all. I have talked people out of the ledge before, but you kind of have to know them. You have to use the information and their hobbies and stuff. You have to talk to them in their own language to be the most effective. And all I know about this chick is that she watches Serial Experiments Lain, and I have absolutely no idea what that is. So I guess I'm gonna pop them on my phone, see if I can find a video that could maybe give me some insight.
12 seconds later.
Okay, sick. I found this video that's 2 minutes long that explains it. Perfect. I can just watch that. Are you fucking kidding me? YouTube really loves putting ads into videos in situations that are life-threatening. Am I right, ladies?
Anime. Okay, fine, I'll actually try to talk about it. It's not really an anime you can put into a genre per se, unless there is a genre for anime that successfully predicts what the internet will be 30 years into the future to a shocking degree. If that is a thing, please let me know with a comment. It would help out a lot. To avoid talking for several hours longer than the series runtime, Lain is about a lot of things. But most prominently, we want to focus on the anime's main topics: the internet, our identities, our reality, and how they all intersect. Lain is an anime that takes the concept of putting on a new identity for online interactions and cranks it up to 12. It plays around with our reality and the internet being intertwined, or even one and the same. And while it's fantastic commentary on our ever-growing reliance on technology, it really hits home with me in a dissociative sense, especially in the anime's back half. But for now, I'm gonna leave you in suspense. Today, for your viewing pleasure, we'll be taking a deep dive into all 4 arcs of the Lain anime. Do not get me started on PSX Lain. I don't want to spend 20 hours listening to audio diaries. Don't threaten me with a good time. These 4 arcs spread across the 13 episodes of the series into nice, orderly chunks that we can examine. And while I do recommend watching the series yourself for the best effect, we've got a lot to cover before we get into the really juicy, spoilery stuff. So without further ado, let's begin our deep dive into the series, starting with the first arc.
Whoever you are, wherever you are, don't look away. The truth will be made visible sooner rather than later, after all.
The anime kicks off with Layer 1, Weird.
Okay, so at the very least I can mess with the volume. I can't skip this ad, but at the very least I can mute parts of it.
The real start
That seems to come in handy.
when she starts sending email to her classmates from beyond the grave. Rumor has it that it's just a really tone-deaf joke, but once the titularly titled Lain ends up receiving this email, it sends her down a rabbit hole somehow even deeper than my obsession with Pink Floyd. Lain's been seeing strange things around her. Power lines talking, voices from nowhere, messages everywhere telling her to join the Wired. And Chisa's email is about to kick all of that up a notch. Chisa talks about how she has merely abandoned the flesh, taken solace within the Wired, and that here,
there is a God. Huh?
confused but intrigued on what this could possibly mean, Lain decides to ask her father for a new battle station, colloquially known as a NAVI. Her old station is out of date, and if she wants to see Chisa on VR chat, she needs a more powerful setup as it is. As the Amazon order processes, Lain starts seeing even more vivid hallucinations, all wanting her to join the Wired. It's when she walks home from school and sees Chisa for just a moment, before fading away with a smile, that she realizes all this Wired talk might not be hallucinations after all. Concluding the first episode. Layer 2, Girls. From the title alone, I'm expecting great things, but we'll get to Atlas later. We're introduced to a guy that is absolutely tweaked from a substance called Excella. Our guy here is absolutely geeked out. The person I was rewatching this with for research said wood to the server. I don't know where in the script I should put that, but I mean, I may as well, right? Anyways, Lain walks to school and is being stalked by Sojiro Sakura Persona 5. She meets up with her breastie Alice and her clique as they walk to school, and they mention some dirt going around. Apparently, someone that kind of looks like Lain, albeit with a very different attitude, was at the club last night, even though Lain herself wasn't there. How queer. After surviving another school day filled with hallucinations, horrors, and homos, Lain arrives back at her house to an Amazon worker at the door. He's here to finally deliver Lain's new NAVI upgrade. Guess her dad splurged for Prime. Her dad comes home and helps set up her new computer, but Lain hasn't had some traumatic event happen in her life that would lead her down a path of internet addiction, so she's gonna go to the club and hang out with Alice and the gang. Oh hey, there's that traumatic event I was foreshadowing earlier. Quick, Lain, say the line!
No matter where you are, everyone is always connected.
Yeah! Well, ooh. I guess that would do it then, huh? Well, that's episode 2 done. Yeah, that'll do it, yeah. Layer 3, Pishuka, Psyche. I'm just going to alternate. I don't know which is the correct pronunciation in this case. I'm just going to alternate between them. Deal with it. Layer 3, Psyche, starts up right where the last episode ends, with Lain and Alice in a police station after the whole debacle with the shooter at the club. Ryotaro Dojima Persona 4 interrogates Lain a bit about everything that happened at the club with the shooter, but our girl is shell-shocked and not talking. Oddly enough, when the officer calls the number for Lain's parents that she gave, no one picks up the phone. Weird. And once Lain arrives home from a police cruiser ride, she finds absolutely nobody home. Weirder. By the next morning, everything seems back to normal. Her parents are back home, Lain is still being followed by Sojiro Sakura Persona 5, her school is concerned with how hot the shooter from yesterday was, and Lain finds a mysterious brown envelope in her school locker. Now, this is 1996 and not 2025, so there isn't any need to worry about this being a pipe bomb. Rather, inside is, I kid you not, an Intel i9 processor. This is known as the Pishuka processor, and it's the point of no return on Lain's journey to become the modern-day Discord kitten she's destined to be. Too bad Lain doesn't really know what it is yet. Not even her dad knows. So she heads back to the club and finds some Discord users to try and make sense of what exactly this thing she has is. She does just that, and heads back home to begin assembling her new battle station upgrade. Layer 4, Religion, is the last episode of this arc. It opens with Lain hard at work tinkering with her machine. Her room is finally starting to resemble what mine looks like. She has a ways to go, but she's got the spirit. In school, Lain is starting to be more social with her friends. Well, I did say social, not open. But when she's not at school, Lain is starting to become more and more withdrawn, talking with people on the user benchmark forums for advice on how to tune her new system. As long as she doesn't end up comparing Intel to AMD, she should be okay. She also found out about gaming, and she's playing this really cool Quake mod called Phantoma. She's poning at it. Go her. All this new internet activity and the effect on Lain is most prominent when she has a conversation with her father about the borders between reality and VR chat. Lain disagrees with her father. The border between the real world and the wired isn't so clear, and with her battle station upgrades, she will soon fully immerse herself in this new world, to her father's seeming distaste. He gets a really good guess about the Pishuka processor, which, for not knowing what that was in the last episode, is quite impressive. After doom scrolling Twitter some more, her cat-like reflexes kick in, and when she sees a laser pointer at the wall, originating from Sojiro Sakura Persona 5. And comrade. No exaggeration, she sends a literal Biden blast to disarm them, and it actually works. Like, okay. They fuck off, and a computerized voice confirms that Lain's security system did its job. After a zoom out of her hometown, which is becoming covered in more and more power lines by the day, the first arc of Serial Experiments Lain comes to a close.
How do you know that 2 + 2 is 4? Why not 5? It's all a matter of perspective, is it not? Please regrade my math test.
Layer 5 to 7.
The second arc of Lain begins with Layer 5, Distortion. You know how I was able to write a 2-paragraph summary of each episode in Arc 1 and cover that entire 4-episode stretch in a very short amount of time? Well, hope you don't miss it, because Layer 5 is the first episode where we actually have a lot to cover. So just bear with me. We open with the anime playing one of its signature moves. Slideshows narrated by some guy talking about some weird thing that may or may not actually be relevant. In this case, it's a guy who seemingly is God talking directly to Lain about humanity's inability to evolve further in its current state. We must ascend to a new plane of existence, no longer bound by the limits of the human form if we wish to evolve as a species. And that plane of existence is the Wired. We're going to be seeing a lot more of God going forward. This is just how he makes the introduction to his introduction. Pretentious fuck, who's that guy?
Wow, that's kind of hypocritical, isn't it?
God? I don't buy it. This episode does something actually pretty unique for the series. It has an A plot and a B plot. I'll tackle the B plot later, but for now, let's focus on the A plot, which instead of predominantly being about Lain, is actually focusing on her sister, Nika. After waking up from supposedly a one-night stand and dipping without a word, she starts noticing weird stuff all around her. Guess it runs in the family. It starts innocuous enough, with Lain just chilling at a traffic section saying her iconic catchphrase over and over again, but as it goes along, it starts getting significantly darker. She starts saying her own phrase over and over again. Instead of Lane's cute, fun, and marketable "everybody is connected," Mika gets the significantly more fucked up "fulfill the prophecy." Darker than dark. And yet, it continues to escalate. From wet wipes handed out on the street, to the result of her spilling her coffee, to getting jump scared in a bathroom physically surrounded by this phrase that endlessly haunts her, Mika truly faces what a Monday represents in our modern society: incomprehensible terror. Once she finally makes her way home, she breaks down into tears, only to see herself. She simply stares in horror, unable to move or speak, until she just disappears, this supposed doppelganger taking her place. When Lain walks by the doppelganger and asks what's going on, she says it plainly and simply.
It's nothing. It's nothing at all.
This is the final time you will ever see Mika in a coherent state. And honestly, after everything that happened on this Monday of Mondays, do you really blame her for permanently derealizing? The details of this plotline are honestly pretty confusing, and that's by design. If you haven't caught on by now, this anime loves being avant-garde and more than a bit confusing with its meanings, all on purpose to spark discourse and theories about what everything means. What does the weird glowy silhouette of original Mika being visible to Lain for just a moment before disappearing actually mean? I don't know. I've seen this shit like 5 times, I can't tell you. It's why I stay at the start very prominently. Even after watching recaps on YouTube, such as this one, it's always going to be better to watch the series for yourself, and to form your own opinions on why the world is the way that it is. This is going to be a pattern going forward. I don't have all the answers. I don't think anyone does have the answers, and I'm sure as hell not going to pretend I have all the answers. Let's get back on track to the actual episode, though. In our rare and epic B-plot, we see a series of conversations between a younger Lain and various objects and people. Toys, her parents, a pot, I think? I actually don't know. All talking to her about a prophecy. About how all events in life are made to connect via a prophecy. You get a prophecy, and you get a prophecy, and you get a prophecy. You know, that type of thing. You know. While it seemed like for this episode it was Mika that got her prophecy, Lain's is only now truly beginning to unfold, as we finally put Layer 5 to rest. Layer 6, Kids, is when our biggest fear comes to fruition. Red alert everybody, Lain found out about 4chan. Oh good fucking god. By 4chan, I mean the secret internet society known as the Knights of the Eastern Calculus. In this universe, it's a group of hackers with exceptional programming skills, minimal social skills, all having superiority complexes, originating from a variety of backgrounds, ages, and Yeah, I wasn't kidding when I said it was 4chan now, was I? Well, it's pretty easy to see the influences from something like Anonymous. Anonymous stands up for trans rights, and probably more importantly, isn't using its power literally just to cause havoc for no real reason other than to feel better than everyone else. And Lain is absolutely smitten. They treat her nicely, as if she's a queen, giving her the true mental companionship she always dreamed of. Okay, maybe comparing the Knights to Discord moderators might have been a better analogy in hindsight, but it's too late, let's just roll with it. When she's back in school, talking with her usual crowd, Lain is much more chatty than usual, dropping vague hints toward this new crowd of people she communicates with on the regular. She puts on the normie mask and hangs out with Alice and the gang trademark pending for a while, even getting a new fit while they're at it. However, while out and about town, Lain sees something. For once, everyone sees something. A Dark Souls player. Then more of them, all doing that one pose that everyone knows. But, you know, that pose is Solaire of Astora, you know, praying to a sun god. So, who are they praying to in this universe? What the fuck? Okay, I actually, don't know how to describe this. If you're, hey, all you second monitor people, if you're watching this as background audio, tab back into the video for a second, rewind a bit, and you can tab out again. Alright, you did that? I'm gonna trust you. And for once, this isn't a hallucination. Everyone is seeing whatever this is, and it ends up on the news. Once we return to the Iwakura household later, we find out that I was not lying about Mika. She's literally just a vegetable now after what happened last episode. Poor girl. Makes you think Garfield is onto something. As Lain returns to her battle station, she is furious about the stunt that was pulled earlier today. She decides it's time to do some digging. This is our first actual look at how Lain interacts physically with the Wired. And you see why I refer to it as VR chat half the time? Like, yeah, I do it because it's a joke. Obviously, it's a YouTube video. But, like, think about it. In this universe, the Wired is a social media over the internet, where people directly communicate with each other through custom visual representations, which can vary in simplicity or complexity depending on your hardware capabilities. It's pretty similar to something like VR Chat or Second Life. In this case, Lain is communicating with a fucking normie who only has the technique to get his lips in, amateur. Most people can only manage lips, ears, or eyes, but Lain just got herself a slime VR kit, and now she can put her entire form in the Wired, making her truly special among the other users. She's here to do some research on the game that the kids on the Wired are playing nowadays, henceforth referred to as Fortnite. Her research into Fortnite leads her to a man that is really out here being referred to as
The child killer scientist.
with a name like that, surely this guy isn't innocuous in any way. Oh, okay, that actually checks out. The gist of this old man ramble is this. This guy led an experiment to measure the psi within children and harnessing that energy for some kind of purpose. It went really badly, as you might have gathered from the child killer scientist title. He smashed the experiment to pieces and ran away to live out the rest of his life in guilt. However, it seems that some people have found their way into the discarded files to recreate the experiment. Really, dude? How the hell? You're a scientist. How do you fuck up deleting a file? Should have used BleachBit, or like a hammer or something. This experiment has allowed for a digital children's game of tag, and, oh hey, look at that, Phantoma, to be merged onto the same server, resulting in drastic consequences. We actually saw this play out 2 episodes ago. I just skipped over it since it wasn't relevant until now, and that's the footage you're seeing on screen. And Lain has quite the idea of who's behind this scheme to begin with. There's really only one answer. Only people with the know-how and the chaotic lack of morality would be able to pull something off like this. The Knights. She furiously confronts them to absolutely no response back, chillily calling them out as the cowards they are. However, she's interrupted by, say it with me now, Sojiro Sakura Persona 5! And partner. She's really fed up with, being stalked, so she rushes downstairs and confronts them outside her house. She yells at them, and all they say in response is to duck, as the coolant system in her room explodes. Turns out, a bomb had been planted in her coolant system, and it wasn't by the Blowjob brothers over here. While partner walks back into the car, Sojiro Sakura Persona 5 gives Lain one last look to answer the burning question before they take off.
Tell me who did it!
The Knights.
What?
And with that, the Blowjob brothers drive away, fire trucks are heard in the distance, and Layer 6 comes to a close. The last episode within this arc, and the last one we'll cover before everything goes batshit insane, is Layer 7, Society. Get your Joker memes out now. I'll give you a minute. Alright, you good? Let's begin. We open on Lain's room, reconstructed from the explosion that ended last episode. Her setup is now in its final form, with wires leaking out the back of the house, original Xbox fluid for coolant, and that gosh darn Kashuka processor. This bad boy can run Borderlands 4 at a blistering 40 frames per second. I'm not salty, you are. Lain is talking to people over the Wired about someone, when we see Mika at the door continuing to be a vegetable, as is just what she does now. Across the Wired, we see a variety of seemingly random people. First, we see an Apple Vision Pro user. No, like really, I wrote this in the script originally as a joke, but then I thought about it for a bit, and there's people in New York that are just walking around like this. And I think that's just goes to show of how well this anime is aged. Bro is desperate to be part of the team, as it were. He's obsessed with trying to join the Knights and do a little trolling as one of their own. Next, Patrick Bateman over here, rocking only a vertical monitor, is indeed part of the team. Then this actual 4chan user is part of the team. Further reminder, this came out in 1996 and there are millions of people exactly like this. Finally, we're back to Lain at school, and we get a horrifying glimpse at what the boomers think iPhones do to people. Her girlfriend is starting to get really worried about her as she slips more and more into digital addiction. Lain is up on the school rooftops being all depressed and stuff, as are most people that own Discord Nitro, when Alice joins her for a conversation. Alice is really worried that Lain seems to be slipping away from society once more, and just wants to make sure that she's not being a nuisance by inviting Lain to hang out with her clique. With tears in her eyes, Lain says that's not the case, and we get a really cute moment between the two. God, Doomed Yuri is so cool, isn't it? The Amazon worker from Layer 2 has returned to a different house, yet once again to deliver a package. Yes, that's a double entendre. It's the house of that boy Lain talked to in the club about her processor, whose name is Tato, by the way. Tato's mom signs for the package, and they chat a bit, while he tries to shoot his shot with a bored housewife. Told you it was a double entendre. He gets cold feet after seeing that she has a kid. Honestly, L, if you're gonna be into MILFs, you have to commit to being okay with kids. It's a package deal. Wait, shit, by saying that, does that make this a triple entendre now? Vote now in the comments. As she opens the package, it reveals a new graphics card for her NAVI, which has a logo on it that's getting really difficult to ignore lately. As Lain arrives home from school, who else is there but Sojiro Sakura Persona 5 and acquaintance. This time, they're active. They ask Lain to get in the car, and she actually does. Guess stranger danger ain't much of a thing over there. She's taken to Tachibana General Laboratories, where a man is there asking for help. This is a trap, and you'll see why in a sec. I was right the first time after all when I said that. Don't start doubting me now. She fixes the network issues by simply removing a jumper, and as soon as she does, it connects to the Apple Vision Pro user, continuing to spout nonsense about woke moralists. The man turns off the screen and begins to monologue. This man is known as Meaningless to Know My Real Name. He probably was really popular in 6th grade. I'm gonna call him Freddy. Freddy is part of an organization alongside the Blowjob Brothers to try and stop the Knights. They know the dangers of what is to happen if the real world and the Wired are to become intertwined, and they want to stop the Knights' chaos from driving this into reality. Freddy bombards Lain with questions about herself that she never thought to question. Are your parents your real parents? When are their birthdays? When is your birthday? Things that most people should know like the back of her hand. Lain simply has no answer. Freddy knows who Lain is. Freddy knows who Lain of the Wired is. This was a trap to get the Wired Lain to come on out and chat. Lain has a complete breakdown before moaning a little bit, falling to the floor, arising as if she were a zombie, and like removing a jumper, her personality immediately pulls a 180. This is not Lain right now. This is Lain of the Wired, and she's dangerous. As Sojiro Sakura oh, his name is actually Carl. Oh, okay. As Carl grabs her arm as she leaves, he knows the truth. The Knights aren't the problem, Lain is. And they need to do some observations on what is to unfold. As Wire Lain says herself, something interesting is about to happen. The episode ends on Tato playing video games with his mom, as the camera shows her new Knights-sponsored GPU burnt and discarded in a trash can. We can see why that card is destroyed. As the camera pans down a busy central highway, we see the Apple Vision Pro user for the last time, on the ground, dead. Seems that he was visited, killed off by the Knights for being a threat to their undercover status. As the Knight's insignia appears on his Apple Vision Pro display, Arc 2 comes to a close, and we reach the halfway point of the series.
But first, a word from our sponsor. Nope. Muting that. Look, this ad might be unskippable, but I am not watching an ad within an ad. Anyways. While I would appreciate it if this video would move along faster, I can't deny this has definitely helped me understand the themes and cult phenomena that embody Serial Experiments Lain. From its shocking accuracy of predictions of our modern internet, to its super avant-garde style of storytelling and presentation, there's a lot to offer here. Like, yeah, I guess so far I could sum up this anime as the Lawnmower Man for weebs, but that'd be doing it a disservice, really. It's genuinely a super cool anime, and while, the situation I'm in is very, life-threatening, I'm supposed to be taking this more seriously, talking someone off the ledge right now, I feel there's still context that I still need. I've only seen, like, half the anime covered so far. I got the other half as well. Who knows, there might be more context that needs to be covered. And besides, sunk cost fallacy, I've already seen enough of this video as is, I may as well see it to the end. If it's to help this girl that I've never met before, then it'll be worth it, surely. Doing a Raid Shadow Legends ad, though, is kind of not great, especially for, an ad within an ad, but... Okay, I think it's almost over now, so I guess I'll just get back to watching then.
Now, back to the video.
We live in a society. You may not like it, you may not understand it, but that's how it is and how it's going to be.
DEUS. Layer 8 to 10.
Layer 8, Rumors, opens with Taro being an epic gamer hanging out with Lain, who seems a bit crankier than usual. She's on the grind of hunting for information, as she gets info dumped by some voice in the stripped club. The topic of how the Wired actually works is brought up, and by extension, the concept of the IP address. You know those things that people freak out about because they see one and think that they've been doxxed despite it being insanely common? Well, in this universe, IPv6, you know, the thing in 2025 that we're trying to convert over to, is bottlenecked by the current usage levels of the Wired. Something bigger needs to be made. A new protocol needs to be made. And whoever makes the protocol effectively controls the Wired from behind the scenes. And Lain already has an idea of who the culprit is, once again. Our friends Freddy, Carl, and Buddy, over at Tachibana General Laboratories. After a jump scare of Mika doing the thing that she does, we get one of the more emotionally gripping scenes in the anime, in my opinion. Lain tries to do something genuinely absurd for the standards of what we've seen so far. Have a conversation with her parents. She tries to talk about her experiences yesterday, being interrogated about her parents' validity, wanting some sort of validation that the worldview she's known for her whole life is true. Her voice starts to break a bit, sniffling, trying to keep any source of composure. She doesn't get a single word in response. Her parents merely stare forward, and then stare directly at her. I can't really put much of a joking spin on this. It generally just kind of messes me up personally, and that's something I'm going to talk about much more later on in a section dedicated to my personal takeaways, but I'll leave you in suspense. When Lain walks to school, Alice merely looks at her, the rest of the clique gossiping. Something that shouldn't be public is out. Something about Alice and the teacher. Something that should have only been behind closed doors. And apparently Lain is to blame. Did that pun work at all? I don't know, I'm still feeling kind of iffy on it. Leave a comment. Alice holds on to the trust she has in her friend and truly believes that Lain is innocent. We'll see how well that works out for her. Back in the Wired, Lain gets to meet God again, who once again is somehow more full of himself than I am, and I'm a YouTuber with 3 characters that are literally just me. Lain is pissed that God made something happen with Alice's secret, which, given the information she has, that's a pretty decent conclusion. Too bad it's not true. It's not God. It's Lain. Another Lain. Mr. President? They hit the 3rd lane. As soon as this realization hits her like a ton of bricks, she regains consciousness to reality where everyone is staring at her, and the message on her Samsung Galaxy Z Flip 3 reveals all. Okay, you probably can't read Japanese, but it says Peeping Tom. Trust me, that's what it says. Lain does what anyone else would do in this instance. She runs. She just runs and prays to get away, just to get somewhere, anywhere where there aren't people staring at her. She just wants her friend back. She doesn't fully grasp what's going on. She doesn't know why everyone believes she's been doing things that she knows she hasn't done, but she's about to. After all, she's a master Googler. But you know what they say about curiosity? Over in Alice's apartment, we see the truth. Alice has a crush on a teacher and touches herself to it. And sitting right on her bed is Lain, laughing maniacally. Ironically enough, when we cut to a different Lain on a bed, she's utterly horrified. Seems like she found the corpse of the cat alright. What, you expected this to be a pet play joke? I'm me out of them at the moment. Try again next video. What results from all of this is a Persona 4 shadow confrontation between Lain and Lain. She tries to choke out evil Lain, but instead feels body heat. Evil Lain is Lain, and Lain is her, whether she wants to admit it or not. She cannot kill the other without killing herself as well. She brings this up to God, furious that they've cloned Lain's avatar and impersonated her all over the Wired when it was supposed to be a private avatar that she made herself. Lain brings up a point to God. If she's omnipresent and powerful within the Wired, shouldn't she be able to delete things that have happened? Simply erasing it from a record, if it were. If no one remembers it, did it really happen? So, she gives it a try. Walking to school the next day, it seemed like it worked. Alice and her clique are nice to Lain again. For a brief moment, Lain feels a sense of accomplishment, like she was finally fucking able to help her friends. She runs forth to reach her friends.
Alice?
Well,
go to Siberia today.
I didn't lie to
Come
you,
on, let's
did I?
go.
Lain is Lain after all. With a disheartened tone and tears in her eyes, Lain asks ChatGPT if she's even real anymore, as Layer 8 comes to a close. Hey, remember Layer 5 and how it started with some guy monologuing a bunch of stuff? Were you a fan of this type of PowerPoint presentation-esque storytelling? Well, I hope you are! Layer 9, Protocol, is half PowerPoint presentation reminiscent of some sort of media I can't quite put my finger on, and half episode of Lain. Things like the Roswell incident, the MJ-12 document, Memex, Echo, Xanadu, and the Schumann resonance are all discussed throughout the episode at various points as if they're Family Guy cutaway gags. However, the last presentation of the bunch, and the one that closes out this episode, is quite important, so we're going to save that one for later. After all, we've still got an episode to cover. Lain is out here girl-rotting in her signature bear pajamas, her sense of self and desire to even keep living dwindling day after day. After a visit by this fucking alien Lamau, seriously don't ask me what relevance this has, I don't even know, she re-enters the Wired. Wired Lain is trying to ask around to find out how Lain was able to undo the whole Peeping Tom incident from the prior episode, only to be left with even more uncertainty about her identity. Over at Siberia, Lain gets a strange package from the DJ who says that she dropped it earlier. Inside is a chip with the insignia of the Knights. Unsure about what this is, she returns to Tato and asks for a date. See, when Tato originally told her about the Pashuka processor, he half-jokingly said that he wanted a date with the Wired Lain in exchange for this information, and now she's here to collect on that offer. Tato agrees and is led back to Lain's room. But Lain isn't here for a date. She's here to interrogate. Okay, this pun sounded better in my head, but she's here to interrogate Tato as to what this mystery chip does. She has a feeling that Tato is one of the Knights, and she's not letting him leave. Navi, play Baby Shark. From the lower level, we see Lain's parents embracing each other, muttering to each other about how it's almost over. Thank God. Whatever that means. And just for fun, here's Mika RPing as an AOL modem. Cool. Fucking straight people. Back up in Lain's room, Tato spills the beans as the Baby Shark finally gets to him. He confesses as much as he can and reveals some much needed insight on the Knights, mainly on their motivations as a group, because they're not fully chaotic. They're trying to push an agenda, one central idea which they claim as the truth. And no matter what the truth is the truth, and it must be just. Yes, I know that I referenced Family Guy earlier, and yes, it's insisting upon itself. Now, as for what that truth actually is, Tato himself doesn't quite know, but the information he's provided with us is enough to give us a better idea of the Knights. Also, just kind of kisses Lain out of nowhere, so sure, I guess. XD, why not? Circling back to the PowerPoint presentations, our last presentation is about some loser named Masami Eri, someone who programmed a loophole into the next generation of the IP that takes advantage of the natural frequencies of the planet, that being the Schumann resonance. So yeah, one of those PowerPoints was actually useful for something after all. Crazy, I know. Why, you ask? To make the Wired accessible without the need for any devices. To break the border between reality and the Wired. Upon publishing his research, he was fired from his job. He then jumped in front of a train, and now he's across the street from Lain. This concludes Layer 9. Layer 10, Love, starts out right where we left off, with Lain and Masami finally face to face. This is God, or at least that disembodied voice who claimed to be God. We have a Josh Trank action scene as Lain and Masami finally converse, but it's really hard to tell whose voice relates to who. If you've seen the scene, you know why it's really unclear, but the main message is clear. Masami has done a little trolling. He put some special code into the next generation protocol to be rolled out that allows for data to be omnipresent throughout the Wired. Specifically, information related to Masami and Lain. Effectively, this allows the two to be immortal within the confines of the Wired, as well as many other people that are joining, such as Chisa. After all, as long as you're remembered, as long as you have at least one worshipper, you still exist. And Lain and Masami have the Knights. As long as the Knights remain, Lain and Masami remain. The conversation terminates when Lain tries to still deny no longer needing a physical body, a theme that you'll see more and more as we continue onwards. Back at school, Lain's desk is gone. Nobody looks at her. Nobody acknowledges her. Alice temporarily becomes functional just to tell Lain, "You don't need a body." Ooh. and then goes back to being like everybody else. I swear the universe just wants to traumatize this girl. It's so mean. She simply walks home and no one's there. The place is trashed. The house is seemingly abandoned. As she walks into Mika's untidy room, she turns around to spot one final sign of normalcy. It's her father, telling her goodbye, referring to her as Miss Lain rather than Lain or daughter or little girl. And this is the point where Lain's physical social life dies. The moment where Lain starts to understand that maybe they're right. Maybe the real world doesn't need her after all. Nobody acknowledges her. Her family is fake and abandoned her. Her only friend hates her now. She doesn't really have anything anymore, at least in the real world.
Alone? Rest assured that you're not alone. Not ever. Remember, if you connect to the wired, everyone will always be there to welcome you. That's the sort of being you are. Always welcome.
No matter where she goes, she will always be welcome. But for right now, she needs a way to lash out. It's time for some payback. Lain uses her powers in the Wired to find the Knight's secret Telegram group and doxes them. Every single one of them. Like, this isn't a joke. She literally just doxes the in-universe equivalent of Anonymous. Once again, anime from 1996 predicting petty revenge doxing. This shit was so ahead of its time, it's absurd. Carl! And Chum are now going around treating the to-dox list as a to-do list. After all, destroying the Knights is what they were paid to do, in a sense. Every single member of the Knights is assassinated by the Blowjob Brothers and Company. Patrick Bateman, the Redditor, even Tato's mom, all dead. With Lain's revenge on Masami's worshippers now done, there is actually no reason for her to be in the real world anymore, and it finally completes her transformation into a modern-day Gen Z internet addict. The Blowjob Brothers visit Lain one final time, mostly for Carl to info dump to Lain. Their client is rewriting IPv7 to remove Masami's residual thought program, the one that allows Lain to have her powers, and soon, she'll be locked out of the internet for good. For now, though, she remains safe, almost as if she's protected by a god, as she lies on the ground and drifts back into the water. Lain feels really cool about destroying all of Masami's followers. He can't be a god now if he doesn't have any followers. Except, Masami still does have one follower. Lain. It's through Masami that Lain even has her own form, her own identity, her own ego, her own powers. Masami is Lain's creator, and he wants Lain to know that. Lain's body is artificial. He'll say it over and over again, until Lain knows so hard that Wired Lain manifests, causing an EMP pulse to snap the power lines all around her. Masami fucks off for now, as our third arc comes to a close.
Layer 11 to 13.
Welcome to the beginning of the end. Layer 11, Infonography, is half episode and half musical recap of the show so far. So even though the backing track is probably one of the best songs from the show in my opinion, it's effectively just a slideshow of information that we've already seen. At this point, Lain is permanently immersed in the Wired, physically revisiting her memories as events throughout the show, from a new perspective. Focusing on the second half, which is an actual episode, we find Lain, once again, girl-rotting. Truly, an icon ahead of her time. Masami appears and talks to her. Turns out that musical recap we just saw was the result of Lain trying to attempt to download an emulator NAVI into her brain to literally fuck around and find out what would happen. Masami confirms that Lain is not hardware, simply a program with a body. And at this point, Lain doesn't even try to nuh-uh it anymore. She just kind of accepts it. Wow, she's snapping at the power lines. I guess she's in a bad mood today, huh? I sure hope she won't be faced with an ethical dilemma in the near future.
No, don't kill yourself. Fucking kill yourself.
Oh, rats. It's the trolley problem. Because this isn't PSX Lain, she chooses to side with Chisa and takes a visit to see Alice once more. She tries to tell Alice that she isn't responsible for leaking her shit on the group main chat. Obviously, Alice doesn't believe her because Trauma is really cool with a P and a T. somewhere in there. Lain drops that she's going to try and make it all right. We'll see how well that works out for her. When Alice gets to school the next day, it seems like Lain was right. Everyone else seems to have completely forgotten about Alice's secret being leaked on the main group chat. Well, everybody but Alice. Lain simply watches Alice from a distance, giving an all too uncomfortable smile as layer 11 comes to a close. Layer 12, Landscape, is my favorite episode of the entire show. You'll see why soon, but trust me on this. Have I been wrong so far? No, I haven't, and I will continue to be right because I'm trans and that makes me right at everything. This episode starts out with Alice derealizing, fully unaware of what's happening around her, somewhat similar to Mika in her episode. Lain continues to look at gay people. She's spreading the good word of, your memories are bullshit, ooh, just rewrite them and gaslight yourself into being happy, five-head, woo, which isn't great mental health advice in my experience. Alice is quite concerned. Over at the club, Lain is completely dead, and Tado's rocking a Quest too, much to the dismay of his actual in-person friends, who are well aware of the privacy hell of Facebook and have chosen the based option of buying a Steam frame instead. Very based. The Steam frame was literally announced yesterday as I write this in the script. I'm just ad-libbing this in. I fucking love the Steam frame and I hope it does good numbers. I might cut this part out of the video, who knows? It's my video, fuck you. Anyways, Masami starts a twit longer about how humanity is unable to evolve for the 5th time this week. Chill out, dude. Wired Lain is just chilling and having a blast. However, for Carl, and okay, I actually don't know what this guy's name is at all, I've just been making stuff up this whole time, fuck off. They're confused. They fulfilled their paid job already, but the Wired is still in the state that it is. It's beginning to merge with the real world if it hasn't already. The two of them are in the car waiting for their payment, shooting the shit, when the Benz rolls up. They're handed their money and told to find some place with no wired coverage on Earth. Carl's buddy starts absolutely tweaking. He got hit with the lane worm and he doesn't take it too well. Soon, Carl starts to see it too. And with an off-screen scream, we never see the Blowjob Brothers again. Now we get to single-handedly the best scene in the entire show. Alice decides to pay the Iwakura residents a visit. And girl has absolutely no idea what she's in for. She does not know. As soon as she gets to the front gate, she realizes something is up. There's a giant blobbish tumor coming out of Lain's room. The front gate is unlocked. The house is in total disarray, and somehow she still finds it important to take her shoes off when entering. Very polite. We get one last look at Mika role-playing as a modem, which causes Alice to get really spooked, and yet she presses on. She makes it to Lain's room, and after Lain arises from her puddle of wires, we finally get the heart-to-heart we've all been waiting for. Alice starts to fully break down, crying about why her memories were unaffected while everyone else gets to forget the things that Lain is deleting. We'll learn why that's the case next episode, but for now, Lain tries to justify herself. Lain really did just want to help her friend. Alice still doesn't believe her, which, I mean, Alice probably wouldn't understand 90% of the events of this anime so far, even if Lain directly tells her. So honestly, it's pretty understandable that Alice doesn't know what the fuck is going on. Lain tries to tell Alice about how all of us are just applications that don't really need bodies anymore. Alice simply responds with this.
You are wrong.
Just a simple reminder to Lain that despite everything, she's a human. She has a heart. It beats. She is still alive. Then Masami comes forth to be a cockblock. Bro is still rambling about how you need to reject humanity in the flesh for the species to evolve, right after the cute Yuri moment about remembering your humanity. Not gonna work, pal. Lain debates Masami with facts and logic. Masami's entire philosophy revolves around being a superpowered being with special abilities within the Wired, making him a god above humanity. But instead of her usual nuh-uh, Lain actually responds with logic. But who gave you those superpowered abilities? It was a human, dumbass. Masami gets really, really pissed at this. And in some of the sickest animation I've ever seen, like, oh my god, how the hell did they do this? Masami tries to form himself a body out of the technical debris in Lain's room. Alice simply holds on to Lain for dear life, while this abomination continues to form and subsequently dissipates. Alice cries helplessly, closing out Layer 12. One episode left to go. It all ends here. Layer 13, Ego. Starts out with Alice scratching Lain's face after she literally protected her, but okay, I guess. Lain tries to hold Alice as she simply looks up and detaches from the situation. Lain is fucking miserable. She feels like she can't do a single thing right to help her friend. She feels like she could just erase herself from everything. And then she thinks about that for 1 second longer and remembers that she has done that in the past and can actually do that. And thus, we begin again. Mika, Dad, and Mom enjoy a family meal. Usual family banter. The train is now laneless. The school day begins once more. Alice reunites with her clique, and while she feels like something's on the tip of her tongue, she finally understands. What isn't remembered never happened. She carries on, careless and free from whatever the hell may or may not have happened in layers 1 to 12. Tado has one of the coolest Navi designs ever, like it's based on a gun comm from SMT Devil Summoner. Seriously, it's such a cool design, I love it. The guy we know as the shooter is just walking around the city streets with his little sister. Carl and Guy are setting up electrical poles. Masami Ari is definitely, for sure, 100% going to quit his job this time, definitely, probably. There are some people that think they remember something. Someone. A ghost of a memory, but it's quickly overlooked. After all, what isn't remembered never happened. Right? So, where is Lain? Lain is alone, truly and completely alone, with nobody else but her wired self to torment her. She doesn't know what she is, but she knows the world is better without her, and yet she still weeps despite getting what she wanted. Where is Lain? Who is Lain? Deep down, she already knows, and we do too. She's not in the real world. She's not in the Wired. She's in what the Wired is connected to. Lain is in the collective unconscious. Ever wonder why Lain was able to erase herself from everyone's memory except Alice? Or how she was able to fully erase herself from existing so everyone can be safe? It's because by affecting the Wired, she can truly only affect the collective unconsciousness, not individual people. She can make the collective forget about an event, say Alice's secret being leaked, but not the individual that caused it, Alice herself having that secret. That's why Alice was left with her memory untouched, but everyone else was affected. That's why with this reset, she's truly gone. Nobody remembers her, and she doesn't know her true creator. She's erased from the collective unconsciousness, and such the world. Lain continues to be tormented by her other self, until she starts to stand up for herself. Wired Lain fucks off as Lain continues to weep in misunderstanding and misery, before a new voice is heard. Lain's dad? Once again, this is one of those things that really isn't explained too well, and you have to put the pieces together in your own way. Personally, I think that Lain's father represents an actual god, taking the form of the person closest to her, that being her dad. He talks to Lain for a little bit, about how she loves all of humanity, how she can't describe it, and then next time he'll make some mad lines because they go great with tea. The final scene of the anime shows an adult Alice, who's actually dating a teacher. Good on her for fulfilling her fantasies in some way. We see a bittersweet vague reunion of Alice and Lain. Lain insists that Alice doesn't know her, but still gets a chance to introduce herself. And we see what remains of her friend one final time before she walks off to continue the rest of her life. By tomorrow, she'll probably have completely forgotten that she ever met this little child named Lain. Lain mutters to herself that we can see each other anytime. The screen fades to black, bringing Serial Experiments Lain to a close.
I promise you I'll always be right here. I'm right next to you. Forever.
Before we get to the conclusion segments, I think it's time for another...
Look, let's just cut the fourth wall bullshit for a second. I'm about to end this video, like, properly, but there's one part of Serial Experiments Lain that this advertisement doesn't cover, and I think is really, really important. And that's my own personal takeaways. I'd like to start talking about this section by bringing up a question that, if you've watched a lot of my content, you've probably had in your mind for quite a bit now. Why do you and DTuber look so similar? There's a lot going on with me. To put it one way, there are so many things that I don't understand. I blame unrestricted internet access from a young age, and when I saw Lain for the first time years ago, it definitely did more than a little bit of permanent damage to me. After all, mental illness can be a very powerful double-edged sword. Having this awareness and knowing that you're not alone with your symptoms is great, but it comes at the cost of introducing confirmation bias. it'll creep up behind you, telling you things and intrusive thoughts like, oh, you do X and Y? That's kinda sus, bro. And then one day you find 10 years have got behind you. You're 22 years old and you have enough mental health diagnoses to call out, bingo! Nobody even told me when to run either. Bummer. Now more than ever, I just sort of feel really detached from reality. Like I'm forced to live in an experience that I can never truly comprehend. And given that existential terror, I found solace and comfort in the media that I hyperfix, the friends that I make, and now with curiosities, the videos that I make. It's a feeling that I've had for over a decade now, and when I watched Lain all the way back, those symptoms definitely got worse to some extent. I would not be surprised that was the case. It felt like an uncomfortable comfort. Like I was being understood in a way that I couldn't have possibly had the words to communicate otherwise until I had seen it. If it weren't for this anime, I wouldn't have been made conscious that I derealize all the fucking time. I wouldn't have the words to express it, and I wouldn't be here making this video right now and telling it to you. And that feeling has never truly left me. If anything, lately it's gotten even stronger. I blame everything in the world, really. And that's not even that much of a joke. Okay, maybe it is a little bit. Is this bit funny yet? It's how I cope. Please don't tell me that I'm funny. This permanent feeling of not being able to even pretend like I exist has extended to my personality, and as expected, to my channel as well. The answer to the million-dollar question of why does DTuber look so similar to you is simply put, both of us are D. Hell, if anything, I actually designed DTuber first. I designed her in Vroid, and I had a cool fashion sense idea for her, and then I thought, wait, I could totally do this in real life, so then I did that. In a sense, DTuber's outfit is both based on and inspired by my real outfit that I wear in all my videos. I don't just wear this, you know, as a costume. This is just how I dress nowadays. The whole point is for the two characters to be interchangeable. They're literally the exact same person. It's just that one has a flower and one has a necklace, or in this case, a collar. The idea behind it is that, like Lain, there is no real D Starlight. Well, okay, I'm the one making the video, but like, shut up, you get the idea. A big part of my personality is blurring what's conventional, and not just in an NSFW context. It also extends to my physical appearance. Blurring the lines between a virtual avatar and someone in reality is 100% on brand with the personality that I've developed thus far, and it's overall an idea that I'm really proud of. I'm not ashamed to be dealing with these problems, and I hope that my deeply personal style of content lets me relate to others that are going through similar ordeals. After all, I'm a DTuber, not a VTuber. You know any other VTubers that would do content like this, consistently showing off their physical form and the things that they make? I'm always trying to make content that most people wouldn't expect, but it goes much further than just the topics that I cover. My overall disillusionment is baked into everything I do, down to my characters. Media is how I've always escaped, and nowadays, making media is fulfilling that role, for better and for worse. I'd like to thank you for listening to my little ramble about one of the finer details of my process. If this video does well, then who knows, maybe I could try doing more rambly, pseudo behind-the-scenes sections like this in my videos to come. But for now, that's about it. I'm gonna go, put the fourth wall back up and properly close out this monster of a video. Alright. I finally finished this video. I finally have some semblance of an idea of what Serial Experiments Lain is about, and I'm finally ready to confront this girl. Shit.